Hello and welcome to the Concept Artist Podcast, interviewing up-and-coming concept artists to learn what's like entering the industry today. Alexandrine Simard is a concept artist currently working at Behaviour Interactive. She's a graduate from the 3D animation program at Cégep Limalu and from the full-time program at Cien Studio Art School. She started as an intern concept artist at Three Mind Games Incorporated and then worked as an illustrator for the digital entertainment studio Frima. She's also really into the whole fighting game scene and has started a personal project working on her own, Magic and Robots. She has a lovingly thorough concept for the character of the fighter Rafaela that you can find on her art station. Welcome to the show, Alexandrine.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Alrighty, so for a first question, what is, just to clarify for those who may not know, a concept artist? And how might that vary from an illustrator or a map painter?
Well, first of all, a concept artist is the one who makes the concept for a video game, for a character or an environment. So it's can be like sketches just to set the mood and everything. Illustration will be way more advanced, and man painter as well. Man painter, even sometimes they'll have their painting showed in the actual game and stuff like that. But concept art is mostly just for inside the company use, basically.
Mm-hmm. So would you consider that almost a middleman position?
Well, actually, you're the very first people on the project. You're the front line of the project. So, and you're the one here to set the tone for the whole visual of the game, and you work really closely with the art director to make sure that everything's in line with the art direction and the design. So I would say pretty much more like frontline employee.
That must be awesome, though, to get that really close personal look at it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you put a lot of your own design and ideas in the project, and you see if the art directors like it or not. And sometimes they're like, yeah, I like it. And you're just like, yeah, let's add that into the game. It's great.
Would you say that from the art directors is where you find the most valuable feedback for improving your art? Or would you say you find that more from something like an online community or a mentorship?
I would say more with an online community and mentorship. Like the art director will be here to basically tell you if whatever you've done is in line with the design and the art direction. Sometimes they can help you to improve your art, but sometimes they can't because they may not be concept artists themselves, right? But they do have a really good eye for art direction and design, so they would really help you to push it further. But really meaningful feedback is with my fellow concept artists or other artists.
That's wonderful. So, when did you start really focusing on building your portfolio? And what was your process like for making portfolio pieces that you really were jazzed about? Did you go to that online community for help with that?
Yeah, actually, when I build my portfolio, it's always an ongoing project. So I always add stuff to it, and then sometimes I remove stuff from it because the basic of a portfolio, what I always tell other aspiring artists is that you put all your best work in it. So if at one point you're like, this is exactly showing what I can do best, then you remove it and you can replace it with something else that's newer and better. And usually I started doing that when I was in school, and it's an ongoing project since then. I've always been adding stuff to it. Usually, yeah, I like showing it to my other fellow concept artists to get their feedback on them. I'm part of a lot of different concept art community here in Montreal, also internationally. So it's really great to have the feedback from all over.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you when you entered the industry officially?
I was 22. Yeah, 22.
And what were your expectations when you were first going into the concept art industry, or did you have any?
Not really. I mean, I had more expectation about the video game industry than about the concept art reality, because I feel like I knew what I was getting into when I was studying really intensely to become a concept artist, stuff like that. So I had more expectation about the video game company. Will it be as laid back as I thought it would be? Would it be, everything that you that you thought about when you were playing video games and like looking at the making of the game, and when you saw the inside and working of a video game industry, and like, you know, people have Nerf guns and stuff like that. You're like, is it really like that? But yeah. So, and then you figure out that it actually differs from company to company. It's not always the same.
So do you have Nerf guns or?
We don't.
Aww.
No, at Behaviour we don't have Nerf gun. I know they have some in other companies though.
What did you have in your portfolio when you started working for them?
I had a little bit of everything. I had character, concept, I had cartoony stuff, and also more realistic stuff, and a little bit of environment. But I know why they hired me for was because of my cartoony stuff, because I was put on a more cartoony project, and I've been on cartoony project for like the rest of the time I've been at Behaviour, which I like because I used to be like, oh no, I don't really like cartoons, and now I'm like, this is my style now.
That's awesome.
I discovered my style through doing cartoony project.
Well, that's great to hear. Kind of a happy accident then, huh?
Exactly, yeah.
And how did you go about like finding out about them?
When I was working at Frima, they went through a little bit of financial problems, and they had to lay off like a lot of people. Like, so I think they went from 400 people and like 200 people in a year. Since I was a newer employee, I was one of the first to be let go, and it's nothing because of me, just because they had to cut somewhere. So after that, I was like, well, I need to find another job. So I started like looking through jobs listing everywhere in Quebec and also Canada and a little bit further, even the States and stuff. And that's how I found the job for Behaviour, actually. And by finding the job at Behaviour, I was like, oh, they're the ones who made that game. They're the ones who made that game. I didn't know. I was like, oh, well, great. So I applied for the job, and I was really happy when they called me back, and it went really well.
That's super fun.
Yeah.
So how many other places had you applied to as well?
20 to 30 other places in like a month. And yeah, after a month, if you don't have like anything back, you can start looking again and stuff like that. So.
And who did you contact within the company?
Nobody actually. I just like sent it through the website. I applied for that, and then that sends my stuff directly to HR, and then HR relay those resume to the art teams that are in need of concept artists, and then they review it. They think you're going to be a great asset. They actually ask you for an interview, and that's how I did it. But you can actually do it with if you know somebody in the company, it'll really help. But I didn't. And that specific occasion.
Still, that's a really well-organized way of doing it.
Yeah. It's not too bad, yeah.
What was the interview process like when you got contacted back by them?
I was in Quebec City at that moment, so it was online. Like, probably like we do, but we're doing right now, but with a camera. The interview was with the HR recruiter and the art director on the project and the producer, I think, if I remember correctly. The interview went pretty well. It was really laid back, just like question about yourself, what you did before, the work you did, and what you enjoy to do. They also want to see if your personality will fit well with the rest of the team. It's not really that stressful. It's very laid back.
And since then, how long have you been working with them?
I've been working at Behaviour for more than 4 years now. It's really great. I like it there. They have like a lot of projects. Yeah, they're taking care of their employee.
That's wonderful. And to remind both me and the people listening, is this a contract position or is this a full-time position?
It's a full-time position for me. You usually start as on a contract for like a year, a long-term contract, or like 6 months, and then after that they're like, oh yeah, if they like you, they're gonna extend it, or if they like you even more, they're gonna offer you a permanent spot in the company. So that's what happened to me.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So, Nerf guns aside,
yes,
what does the rest of your average workday look like with Behaviour?
I usually look at the feedback that I receive from my art director or my lead on whatever I send him the day before. If there's any feedback, I start working on that. If not, then I either finish my task or start a new one. Every 2 days we have a Scrum meeting. So a Scrum meeting is where the art team gets together and the other teams also get together, but specifically the art team since I'm in the art team. And then we each go over the tasks that we're working on and what we were working yesterday and what we'll be working on later. And then after that I do my work and I send, obviously, whenever I have an update, I send it to my art director. I get his feedback and then update it. And that's pretty much it. Sometimes you have other things, like if you have a client, then maybe you'll have to like work with them. But I only answer to the art director. So.
Gotcha. So you mentioned meetings. What would you say is kind of the ratio of actually sitting down to do art versus sitting in meetings? Because I have heard that is kind of a worry for some people, that it would just be all meetings or something like that.
I only have like the morning scrum every 2 days, and then we have 2 play session, one at the beginning of the week and one at the end of the week. So I would say that like probably like 70% of my time is art stuff and the rest is meeting for me. If you go obviously like in a more like leadership position, then it's probably the other way around. That's why a lot of concept artists don't want to be art directors or art lead, because they don't get to draw anymore. They're just stuck in meetings.
Yeah, that makes sense. What days of the week do you work, and what are your hours kind of like?
So at Behaviour, it's full-time, so it's a 5 days week, a week of 37.5 hours. It's flexible, so what they only ask you to do is to be there between 10 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. And that in the end, you do your 37 hours and a half for the week. So you decide a little bit how you want to do it. And if you want to start at 7 in the morning and end a little bit earlier, then you can do it. If you want to start at 10, finish later, then you can also do it.
Is remote work an option?
Yes, I am. Where like the whole company is presently remote. So we're all working from home. They're slowly starting to get the office up and running again. So there's a few people working at the office right now. What they're going to do after pandemic that's happening right now is that they're allow the employee to choose between 3 options, which is either fully at the office or fully at home remotely, or yeah, that's pretty great. Pretty much all the companies here in Montreal are trying to do that. Well, they kind of have to do that. Yeah, people are expecting it. But yeah, the fact that Behaviour is making everything that is possible to make their employee happy and schedule flexible is really great.
Yeah, and that sounds like a really healthy work environment, both literally and figuratively.
It's not the case for all companies, but I would say that in Montreal, it's pretty much like what every company are aspiring to do is that they want to remove crunch time, which is overtime, right? They want to remove that to have a better work and life relationship, basically.
So I know that one of the other major difficulties that aspiring concept artists, and I feel like a lot of artists in general, face is not knowing what their real value is. Would you be comfortable discussing your pay and things like benefits such as paid time off, retirement plan, healthcare, that sort of thing?
Yes, yeah, of course. For the pay, I am considered like an intermediate artist, so I'm just over junior and just on my way to becoming senior. So as for me, I don't know exactly the exact number, but I'm between 55K and 60K a year. I didn't start like that, obviously, but depending of where you live, your salary should reflect that. So like, I would say that no concept artist should start with a salary that's below like 40K usually, even a junior one. Oh, we do have a lot of benefits. Again, that depends on the company. Here we have like insurance for pretty much everything, gases, dental insurance, drugs and everything, the medications. For paid time off, we have 2 weeks of paid time off a year, and then it grows the more senior you get in the company, and plus a week between Christmas and New Year's Eve because the company is closed, so we all have an extra week of paid vacation. Also, every 4 years at Behaviour, they also give you 4 extra weeks of paid vacation every 4 years as a gift.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so I get that, but like I haven't used them yet, so I don't know where to go.
Yeah, not the ideal travel time.
Yeah, no, exactly. You always have something. 2 years, you have a gift. Like I got like a Google Home. My 2 years. It changes every year. We don't know. I don't know what the new ones got. 5 years is like another gift. And we don't have in most video game company. There's no retirement plan. So what you do usually you can actually put money like a percentage of your pay towards like an account, and the company is also matching that amount to a certain number every year towards that account. So for example, if the maximum is 1,000, then the company is gonna put $1,000 every year. Not every year, but every time you're putting money in the account.
Ah, gotcha.
So there's no real retirement plan, but there's kind of one.
Gotcha. What is your cost of living where you are? Like things like rent, transit, food, healthcare.
Well, healthcare here in Canada, it's free.
True, you are very lucky with that.
For rent, Montreal is one of for the province of Quebec is the one that costs the highest, and we're actually in a housing crisis here. So the prices are way too high, and there's actually no houses. People are trying to buy houses, and they're selling it at like $1 million, and you're like, I don't have that. I'm 25, and so it's province-wise, but it's worse in Montreal. So, for example, now I live in my boyfriend's condo, and I bought a house, so I'm like not really in the rent thing. I don't know like how that works, but my old apartment that I had last year, it was $880 per month, and then you add that electricity, insurance, all that, a little bit over $1,000 every month for kind of a big apartment. It was like bathroom, two bedrooms, so pretty okay. But now different, because that was before the housing crisis. You get like 1 bedroom, tiny apartment, $1,200. It's like New York basically.
It sounds like New York.
Yeah, I don't know why, but yeah, it gets pretty expensive. But they're working on that right now.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, but yeah, so usually the companies try to reflect what we're living through right now. So transit, we have the metro, so it's not that bad for transit. I don't use it much either because I live right next to work, so I walk to the office. So.
Oh, that's nice though. So, what were some of the most common mistakes you found yourself making when you started creating professional concept art? Because sadly enough, no one is perfect.
I would say probably just that you have to like rely on other people's opinion basically. As well. It's just not your concept, it's for the project, right? You have to speak your mind still, but like if you're proposing something, a bunch of characters, even though this is the one you like, the director might not like this one, or the client might not like this one, and they're gonna like another one that you did, or they're gonna like another character that another concept artist has done on the project, and then you have to go work on it's specific, especially if you want to like a new project and you want to do like they want to find a specific style for the project. So usually what they'll ask is, different concept artists, they'll ask them, can you do this and this in your style or in different styles? And then we're gonna take everything that we got from the other concept artists, and then we're gonna be, that's the style we want, or that's the style we want. And then sometimes, your style is not the one that's been chosen, so you have to work with in the other concept artist styles. But it's nothing personal. You always have to remember it's nothing personal. It's really for the project. So you need to be remember yourself that it's for the project and not for you. Basically, it's not about you.
Yeah.
But it can be humbling sometimes. But if you're too humble, then that's also like you also have to speak your mind too. It's not like I said, it's also for your well-being and the well-being of the project. So
have to find that balance.
yeah, there's specific balance to find exactly.
How do you see 3D art being utilized in concept art? Like
Yeah.
blocking of scenes, gray boxing, 3D models, that sort of thing. Is that something you utilize personally?
I don't, even though I studied in 3D animation and I did 3D, I absolutely hate it. But that's me personally. I have plenty of friends that actually uses it, and everything they do turns out really great. And if it's saving them time, that's perfect. That's the point. Like, you need to work with the tools that you know you're comfortable in to save time and make everything as fast as possible and as good looking as possible. And I absolutely have no problem with 3D in concept art. I personally don't use it, and I haven't been in a situation where I had to use it. Maybe someday, but now not really. Mostly because I do mostly cartoony projects, so it's not that bad if some things are wonky a little bit. It's cartoon, and I don't do a lot of environments, so I think if I've been doing more environments, I would have used more 3D because that's very useful.
Totally.
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself to have a style?
Yeah, actually, well, I have that's it's like cartoony, with a slight Eastern twist, not really manga, but kind of, but not really. It's right in the middle of Western and Eastern. It's right there. It's the style that I like working the best in, but I also do pretty much anything. I love doing portraits, very realistic portraits, so I like doing pretty much any style. I don't think there's a style that maybe super realistic. I don't think or matte painting. I don't really like doing that. So photo bashing, not really my style either. So
how did you go about kind of finding that Western manga fusion style? Was that due to media you consumed when you were younger, or?
Well, at first I was not drawing like that. I take a lot of inspiration from other artists that I see and that I find their style interesting, but I try to always make it my own specifically, so there's never something very similar, but that's what I used to do when I was younger. And then obviously I was reading a lot of manga too, so I guess that also put a wrench in it. I was like, yeah, there you go. Lately, because I found that style recently, a few years ago, and I think it's because I was working with a concept artist on a specific project, and I just adored her style, and I noticed that mine was not too far from hers, and it just helped me just perfect it, by looking at what she was doing and how she was working with her tools and everything. So mine is nowhere near we're not similar style completely, but it just helped me make it a way that I like doing and that I keep doing now. Big fan also of lately of the game Guilty Gear, which is a fighting game. Yeah, and the old Guilty Gear X are the old art style, which is very over the top and everything. That really speaks to me too, because it's manga, but it's not really manga. It's kind of in a gray area too, so I kind of like that too. Big inspiration.
Continuing along that vein, are there any other non-concept art related experiences like fighting games and other types of visual media that find their way into your creation process?
Yeah. The thing that I used to really love as a kid and I still love is basically I like creating characters or original characters. They say OC, right?
Yeah.
And I just love finding a media that I'm passionate about, and I'm like, what kind of character I could create for that specific media or world or whatever. So a book, movies, TV shows, video games, comics, all that stuff. It's just like a pool of creativity for me. It's just like, yeah, I can just do this, that could be interesting. And I always love to do, like, whenever I do an OC or whatever, it's like, my friends always made me, like, fun of me. They're like, yeah, you can, like, you know, this full genealogical tree, like, you can learn, like, his two half cousins removed from the right or whatever. So, you know, the whole backstory. And I'm like, yeah, well, I feel like it's part of creating a character.
Oh yeah, it's part of the fun.
Yeah, as a concept artist, that also really worked. I also play D&D, so
yeah,
that also is very great. Like, I have a campaign with friends, and I drew all of their characters and mine.
Fun!
It was really fun. Yeah, it's fun too.
So is that one of the things you like to do outside of work?
Yeah, D&D. Yeah, we haven't played in a while because the schedule was not concording with everybody. But yeah, I can't wait to play again. It's fun.
What other things do you like to do outside of work?
I do a lot of sports, actually, because as a concept artist or just working in the video game industry, you're sitting on your butt a lot of the like, for a long time. So I'm like, I just love to keep me active in sports that I actually like badminton and bouldering, which could be, you know, it's a bit like risky because I could break my arm and then
Ooh.
But anyway, like, I'm using my money makers to do sports, but you know, we'll never know. It's still fun.
Oh yeah. Back on the work end, what do you find excites you most about concept art? Is it the creating of the characters' intricate backstories, or is it something else entirely?
Yeah, definitely creating characters is one of the most exciting things. What I really like is when you have a project that actually include the art that you've done in it. That's really great. Because it's always like, oh, you do the concept and then somebody will model it in 3D. It's great. It's still great, like, to see it in game and being like, oh, I've designed this character, you know, or I've designed this room, and it's really great. But doing, like, sometimes I've done like some 2D games where the drawing that, you know, I drew the character and that's actually the character is gonna be animated in the game, so it's like a 2D game and everything, and that was also great. It was like, and you could actually see, like, everything that I've done and everything. So that's why, for example, the fighting game I'm working on for myself, like, I want it to be all 2D, so, like, my art will actually be, like, in the game. It's gonna be mostly made by me, so that's kind of a fun point, like, seeing what you've been working really hard on to be in this game.
Oh yeah.
Or, in this media. It's really great. Yeah.
In line with that sort of thing, do you have a goal in mind for your future? Is there something that's driving you? Is that creating a game fully featuring all of your original art, or is it something else entirely?
Yeah, definitely. Like, that fighting game is like a little project of mine that I really want to make. Like, some people are like, oh, it's just like designing it, right? It's just concept, like, for, like, practice. I'm like, no, I really want to make a game.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to ship that, but it's gonna take years. But I feel like it's a good. I've been really loving it lately, so it's really driving me forward for that. In my in my professional life, I would love to maybe ascend to art director one day.
Mm-hmm.
Because I actually one of the few concept artists that I feel I would really enjoy it, because I love management too.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I'm like, even if I don't draw anymore at work, I'll draw at home.
Yeah.
Those are the two things that are driving me forward.
Well, I really look forward to seeing what you create in the future. That's super exciting.
Thanks.
And now it is time to wrap up. Thank you so much for sharing your time and information with us today.
A pleasure, really. Like, that was an unexpected email, but it was really appreciated.
Are there any platforms or projects you're working on right now that you'd like to shout out before we exit?
You can find everything that I do professionally on my art station, Alexandrine or something.
Don't worry, we'll link to it.
Thank you. And obviously, yeah, my art station or my Instagram, I think this is the same handle too. So where you can find other stuff like sketches.
Yeah, I recently loved your Inktober stuff.
Yeah, thanks. I couldn't I couldn't finish it this year, unfortunately, but next year.
It's okay. I have both appreciated and had some terrifying flashbacks with the Majora's Mask moon.
Yeah, I was like, I'm sorry, people.
And so, if anyone's interested, are you open to commissions currently? And if so, how should they contact you?
I'm fortunately not open for commissions. I did some for friends a few years back, but right now all my spare time is mostly focused on my personal projects.
Totally.
So.
Well, thank you all for listening. If you are a concept artist or know one who might be interested in coming on the show, please let me know. And again, thank you so much for coming on today.
Really a pleasure. Yeah, it was great. Nice experience.